In around 2005, when I was 8 years old, after 10 p.m. on the TV, you could watch a channel called Hyper, where you could see anime and programs about video games. Probably there, I had my first contact with Japanese culture. Also, my parents drove a Toyota, but that didn't have a big significance to me. During that time, me and my friends were a lot into Naruto, King of Shaman, or Dragon Ball. These stories spoke to us and were inspiring. Fast forward few years and a few animes later, I was in the last semester of my uni. At night, before sleeping, I crawled YouTube a lot, and I happened to see a channel called Abroad in Japan. He did videos about Japanese culture which seemed shocking to me. For example, in a video, 12 things not to do in Japan, he explained that you shouldn't say your real opinion, you shouldn't talk on your phone in metro, or you shouldn't blow your nose in public. Although those don't sound any crazy, I soon realized that Japan has a lot of those small rules in place, and all of the people play strictly by them. So Chris Abroad struck my interest, and after that came also books and movies about Japan, and even more YouTube. Also, my mother, who is a big book lover, recommended me some great reads on Japan, for which I am grateful. To give a few examples, Sleepless in Tokyo by Marcin Pruczkowski is a story of a Polish guy struggling with his life in Tokyo in the 90s. But one day this person on the street, he meets an Irish guy carrying an used television, and they become great friends and embark on interesting adventures together. Another one would be Lost Japan by Alex Kerr. This book has a lot of information about the culture, and also it's a little bit of nostalgia trip for the author, who is a big lover of Japan since his youngest years. So in this book we can get to know Japanese culture like kabuki, traditional Japanese theater, or ikebana, flower arrangement, or even things like how the traditional Japanese roofs were created, the ones made from natural resources like some kind of grass. The last example will be Planet K by Piotr Milewski, which tells a story of a salaryman in Japan, but the twist is that, once again, the main character is a Polish person. This book gets deep into the Japanese work culture, and it shows how unbelievable and tough it can be for a foreigner. But for many Japanese, it seems it's their daily bread and butter, which they ate so many times and got used to it so much that the perspective of change seems to be unthinkable. Moving on to movies, I would like to talk about a classical piece, Ikiru, by Akira Kurosawa. This one also tells a story of a salaryman whose job is really boring and actually nothing happens. The president of the company seems to only stick his head in the papers, not doing the actual work, but just keeping his position as a president of the company. One day, he's faced with a sudden and sad twist of fate, which makes him rethink his life. The big changes in his emotions and his heart will have a big impact on his behavior, which we will see reflected in his daily life and his work life. Another one would be a total hit by Kiyoshi Kurosawa called Tokyo Sonata. This one tells a story of a seemingly normal Japanese family, but when we take a closer look, we will see that the husband is hiding a big secret from his wife. The wife herself is going through a midlife crisis. The oldest son wants to join and fight for American army, and the youngest one is a musical prodigy. The last movie I will talk about is called Woodjob by Shinobu Yaguchi. This one tells a story of a soft city boy who randomly picks a job in forestry. I really enjoyed getting to know more about Japan and its culture. Recently, I finished my studies and have been working a job for some time. At that time, I realized that nothing is holding me back and I can actually visit the country that I've been so interested in. So, I did just that. Bought the plane tickets, did some planning, and I went. I arrived in the Narita airport. The flight was long and I couldn't sleep even for a minute. Upon arrival, I learned that my checked-in baggage hasn't arrived. I was okay with it because I only had 2 small gifts in it for the Japanese people. A jar of honey and a jar of horseradish. So I didn't mind losing it so much. I just wanted to get out of the airport because I was so tired. Feeling impatient and frustrated, I said to the airport staff that I'm okay with not receiving my baggage. But they insisted for me to do the opposite. In a rush, I filled out the lost baggage form with the address of Airbnb located in Tokyo, lying that I'll stay there for several days and I'll be able to receive the package. Well, in truth, I was supposed to stay there only for 2 nights. I felt really shitty because these people wanted to help me out and I only rushed just to fill out the form. Although after that I was finally free and I could head out to Tokyo. It was morning hours. I left my stuff in the hotel close to the Tokyo Skytree and I went out to Asakusa. There, I went to see Sensoji. Immediately, I was struck with the things that the people were doing there. They pray, conducting a specific set of moves in front of the altar. Draw fortunes and possibly discarding them. Write their wishes on a piece of wood. Inhale smoke from incense. Or purifying their hands and mouth with water before praying. I was not so sure what's going on and I felt really shy to try those things because it felt like totally different culture from what I experienced in my country. But I tried by imitating others and actually very quickly I felt at home. After trying, those rituals didn't feel so foreign to me anymore. Next, I went to a nearby restaurant where instantly I was welcomed with warm and energetic
いらっしゃいませ。新規4名様ご来店です。いらっしゃいませ。いらっしゃいませ。いらっしゃいませ。いらっしゃいませ。
After that, I felt wholesome. I received iced glass of water for free, which is quite a standard in Japanese restaurants. Then, I called the staff by saying, and I ordered a delicious udon noodles. The prices are great. You can have some simple noodles for around 500 yen and perhaps some bigger lunch for 1000 yen. Also, the service is fast, from ordering through serving to paying, so it's very reasonable time-wise and money-wise to go to the restaurant. Also, the staff is very nice, which will make your day better. So more or less, that was Tokyo. I wasn't the biggest fan of it because it's a big, busy and people-packed city, whereas I prefer more chilled-out places. Also, the moment I left, I received a message from Airbnb owner that she received my lost baggage package. I asked her if she could keep the jars to herself, and she happily agreed. Next, I took a romance car operated by Odakyu Railway and headed to Hakone, which is around 2 hours ride from Tokyo. Hakone is a city escape area with a lot of nature, onsens, and Mount Fuji views. There, I planned a day to go around and explore. Started out with the classic Hakone shrine. After that, I wanted to see Hakone Mototsumiya, located on top of a mountain. To get there, first I had to take a bus and then I was supposed to take a cable car which would take me to the top of a mountain. Unfortunately, the wind was blowing fiercely at that time, and because of that, the cable car was out of service. The serviceman was shouting, "Kaze tsuyoi, kaze tsuyoi," meaning that the wind was strong. In that case, I decided to head back to the next attraction, which was boat ride through Lake Ashi. The bus back was supposed to come only in 2 hours. The distance to the port was 3 kilometers, which is not so bad for some people. I'm still before 30 years old and fit, but my left knee is not working so well anymore, and I knew I had to save up energy as the day just began. Feeling adventurous, I decided to hitchhike back. I read in some books about Japan that hitchhiking there is really easy, so I felt reassured. So, like a proper crazy gaijin, I stick my thumb out and hope for a chance. I quickly realized that perhaps this place is not the best one for hitchhiking, as this is more of a tourist area with families just wanting to enjoy their time together. But to my content, in like 5 minutes, a car stops. I try to speak to these people in a broken Japanese, but they tell me to speak English. I'm shocked. What occurred is that the men and women who stopped were Singaporean. They happily took me in their car. Success! They were planning to stop close to the Hakone shrine, which is few hundred meters before port, but they insisted to drive me straight to the port. Upon arrival, I gave them famous Tokyo sugar butter 3 sandwich, and they gave me a famous Hakone black egg. Soon, I placed myself in an ever-growing queue of tourists to board the boat which was about to cross the Lake Ashi. The wind while riding was crazy, but it made me feel like I was more alive. The water was shining with the sun, and the Mount Fuji was overlooking the trip. When the boat ride finished, I went by a cable car to the top of an active volcano Owakudani. There, the wind was claiming hats and people were walking like Michael Jacksons. I gazed some at the Mount Fuji, ate black ice cream, and went on a tour in the danger zone of Owakudani. At the end of the day, I filled my stomach with octopus gyoza, dipped myself in an onsen, and spent a night in a beautiful traditional Japanese ryokan. Next day, in the morning, I visited Hakone Open Air Museum. It's a great combination of art and nature, as it is surrounded by magnificent mountains. When I was standing on top of the museum's tower, I heard a kid beautifully sum up the sophisticated beauty of the area saying, "Yama sugoi!" That day, the plan was to arrive in Kyoto, so I left Hakone with the good memories in my heart. On the way, I stopped in Mishima, where you can enjoy walking on a gigantic 400 meters long suspension bridge with once again Fuji overlooking, so you don't fall. Fuji-san is always caring for you. day after, I woke up in Kyoto ready to go. I wanted to start out with Fushimi Inari, as Alex Kerr mentions it in his book Lost Japan. I got there at 8 a.m. Other people started to gather, and realization comes that this place is very, very popular. From the entrance, this place looks like usual Shinto shrine, but past the building and before your eyes will be a path from thousands of red torii gates. They create a faintly red glowing tunnel which leads to the top of the mountain. The idea itself seems beautiful and astonishing, but in practice this place has become a fancy Instagram spot. The seemingly endless crimson tunnel is a perfect photogenic spot, placing its subject in an idealistic and aesthetic frame. Sure, the photo doesn't hurt, but when your walking is interrupted every few seconds by people taking photos, it starts to question your visit to the place. Suddenly, I found a narrow, not used by other people path leading to a forest. Hesitantly, I entered it, feeling unsure if it will lead me somewhere. I kept walking, and happily I realized that it will take me around the unknown parts of Fushimi Inari. I finally ran away from other tourists and restored the inner peace. I continued to explore, and I found some small hidden rest and waterfall place, and a green, calm bamboo forest. I also managed to pick up a yellow grapefruit which fell from a nearby tree. Perhaps I had to dive with my hand under a fence to grab the juicy fruit, but who knows? Having finished sightseeing Fushimi Inari, I was not sure what I should do next, as I was afraid that everywhere I go I will be accompanied by hundreds of other people. I decided to go to a botanical garden in December. Well, in the garden itself there was not much plants growing, as it was winter time, but it was extra peaceful and I could feel at ease. With my powers restored, I took a challenge of going to another place with lots of people, Kinkakuji Temple. Kin meaning gold, Ji meaning temple, and Kaku, for sure it means something, but I don't know, sorry. There I saw legendary golden temple. Also to my content I met friends and his companions, which are cute little bunnies-like creatures which some Japanese people adore. I grew to quite like them too. To top of the day, I visited sushi conveyor belt restaurant Musashi. In the hustling and bustling downtown of Kyoto, you can easily find this not-so-hidden gem. When you enter, you'll see fully packed, long and narrow space. In the middle of it all are few sushi chefs preparing the dishes. Surrounding them is a riding belt, just like the one in the airport where they hopefully give you your baggage, but smaller. Around it all are tables and seats where people are enjoying their evening with some delicious and sometimes nose-kicking wasabi sushi. I have never been a fan of sushi, but seeing that made me lean a little bit to the fish side. Welcomed and seated down, I pour myself some hot water to a cup with refreshing Japanese green tea, which is of course free. Then I fill one dish with bit of soy sauce and another one with red ginger. Then I proceed to the main attraction, picking the sushi from the belt and devouring it. If you are in Japan, please make yourself a favor and visit a conveyor belt sushi restaurant. You won't regret it. Another day, while wanting to rest a little, I decided to sit by the Kamo River in Kyoto. The river runs down slowly, generating relaxing noise. You are surrounded by the mountains, and in the distance you can see the well-known Daimonji-yama. The water is very clean, and there is a lot of wild animals nearby. The pigeons are flying around and coming up to you to get a snack. In the water, the ducks are chilling, and the big carps are slowly lurking. The squeezed grey heron looking for some food, and the great egret is just standing and contemplating. The trip continued for some more time, although this is what I had to say for now. Japan was great. The people were warm and kind. The food inexpensive and tasteful, and the nature was spectacular. From the bottom of my heart, I hope that we can meet again soon.